Hey everyone, welcome to the Dharmabumtemple. This is our Zen meeting for tonight. Hello. I guess I've started this live broadcast, so it's always a good time to start after I get that going. And so for tonight, I'll give like kind of a rundown of what this is about and some of the things we're going to be doing. There's going to be a lot of sitting meditation, and I kind of am going to be facilitating kind of 2 periods of unguided sitting meditation. All of y'all are already seated, and so if you want to kind of continue in the chairs, that's good. Or if you want to move up here, that's good. You can transition as well. And if you want to transition during the meditations themselves, just try and be as quiet as possible, but it is definitely welcome. So part of this practice that I really enjoy a lot, and I'm really excited to kind of share the space with everybody here tonight, is, like I said before, it's unguided. So I'll just be kind of ringing this bell 3 times to initiate things. And for the first meditation, we'll meditate for about 15 minutes, and I'll time that, and then I'll ring the bell 3 times to kind of knock us out of that. And I have a little thing I want to read. I read it last time I led here, so Cameron's going to hear it again. We're maybe having kind of discussion at that point. So if you all have any questions about Buddhism or meditation in general, I can try and answer those. And I just saw Jeff kind of peek in for a moment, so it was perfect timing as I was saying that. He's the CEO of the Dharmabumtemple. But I guess, is this anybody's first time at the Zen meeting or his first time at Dharmabumtemple? Okay, cool. So a lot of first time people here. So I'll go through kind of a gamut of different techniques for meditation. A lot of it is focused on posture, and I'll talk a little bit about breathing. But I've been reading a little bit of Pema Chodron. A lot of people really like Pema, and so I decided to start dabbling. And she has a whole. This is Comfortable with Uncertainty. I bought it from the Buddha for You store downstairs. They're open till 7. And she within kind of like, the first 20 pages of the book, there's like a whole thing about the 6 points of posture. And I have a little rundown of things that I like to say and share with people or give guidance on. And so I'll say that as well. But I feel like hearing Pema say it as well is probably really powerful. So I'll read through this really quickly. So the 6 points of posture. Seat. Whether you're sitting on a cushion on the floor or in a chair, the seat should be flat, not tilting to the right or left or to the back or front. Legs. The legs are crossed comfortably in front of you, or if you're sitting in a chair, the feet are flat on the floor with the knees a few inches apart. Torso. The torso from the head to the seat is upright with a strong back and an open front. If sitting in a chair, it's best not to lean back. If you start to slouch, simply sit upright again. Hands. The hands are open with palms down, resting on the thighs. And eyes. The eyes are open, indicating the attitude of remaining awake and relaxed with all that occurs. The eye gaze is slightly downward and directed about 4 to 6 feet in front of you. Mouth. The mouth is very slightly open so that the jaw is relaxed and air can move easily through both the mouth and the nose. The tip of the tongue can be placed on the roof of the mouth. So feels a little bit rigid, to be honest. The eyes open thing, I think I like to tell people you can do eyes open, you can do eyes closed. And if they are open, maybe try and kind of squint a little bit, so like half open, very lightly half open, and you're just there in the room. You're not focused on anything. I do a hybrid of things sometimes, where I start off kind of eyes closed, and then I open them every once in a while. And I have to open them to just check the time. But yeah, and then posture, like she said, you kind of just want like a straight, upright posture. Some people meditate lying down. I'm not a believer in that, but I think people can do it if you have to for medical reasons. So I support it in that regard. But yeah, I think the posture is really cool. I think you can also adjust as many times as you need to. If you think that it's uncomfortable, please be comfortable, and adjust accordingly. If your kind of legs or feet are getting numb, kind of move things around. It's okay to move. Just, I think, kind of try and do it quietly so you don't distract others. And yeah, so last thing I'll say before we get into the meditation is with breathing. Since it's unguided, there's not gonna be really any triggers for breathing or kind of prompts for it. But I would say if there's maybe something that kind of disrupts the meditation for you, like a sound, there's lots of sounds up here as well, so it gets kind of cool. But if something disrupts the meditation for you, maybe meet the sound or the thought with a little bit of curiosity and maybe a cycle of 3 breaths. And I invite everybody to try and slow the breaths down to the point where you can't hear the breathing at all. And that's a good indication, if you can't hear your breath, that it's the right speed. And slowing the breath down is really a really good and easy way to calm down as well. So yeah, with that, I'll ring the bell and get right into it. Hey, so it was kind of like the first meditation of the night, and hopefully I've kind of we'll have another section where we do a second meditation. And yeah, if you want to feel the need to kind of loosen up a little bit, feel free to stand up and everything. My feet always fall asleep for some reason when I'm doing this class, and it's I have to like kind of just stop or like move around a little bit to get the blood flowing again. I'll figure it out one day. But yeah, I really like this practice a lot. I'd had like 2 trips that I did recently. This past weekend, I went to Los Angeles and was like riding bikes with a bunch of friends. And I used to ride bikes like a lot, and I always like to think that this was the first experience that I had of like kind of meditative states, because if you're riding safe, you're kind of like very aware of everything. You don't have headphones in or anything, and at that point, you can kind of, if you've been riding for a while, you can kind of see behind yourself because you can hear things from behind you and you can sense what's coming. And it's this weird kind of level of awareness that I kind of accessed for a little while that I felt was really powerful. And then after I started meditating, I was this weird kind of overlap with that that feeling of being kind of very aware of my surroundings, and it was kind of a really, really surprising kind of parallel to make and everything. And yeah, it was really cool. And I travel for work sometimes, and I also travel for fun. And I can't bring my bike, and so I can't like access that kind of safe haven or that comfort that I get from riding bikes. But meditation is very portable. I just got this watch to keep track of the time, and I'll use my phone to just set a timer for myself, usually like 20 minutes and everything. And it's very accessible, and just feeling this kind of relief right now. I think they call it equanimity, is what I was kind of connected it to over time. But just being able to manifest that or kind of create this equanimous kind of feeling in myself when I'm traveling is really amazing. So I'm glad that we were able to do that just now. But I thought I'd share that a little bit. But yeah, for this kind of book stuff that I wanted to also touch on really briefly. I've got a lot of books up here. Really like to plug them because there's a lot going on with Zen as a practice. There's a lot of rich history of it in California, in America, in the globe, and in Japan itself. It was there was used to be only, like, from what I know, one school of Zen, which was called Rinzai. And this guy who was in Japan about 800 years ago, he was a Rinzai practitioner, and there's a lot of stories about him. His name's Dogen, Eihei Dogen, and he kind of got pushed out of his monastery and found himself like traveling through China with another kind of Zen master at the time. And he came back from China after like 4 years, and there was this heavy emphasis that he had on sitting meditation, so doing exactly what we just did. And it's really cool, but the amount of like text that I've read, just kind of waxing poetic about just sitting, is really impressive, and kind of what's happening and what people think is happening is really cool. So yeah, this book, Beyond Thinking, it's kind of like excerpts and like direct quotes from Eihei Dogen, and translations of his work, and then kind of breakdowns of stories and such. So it's very cool. And then also this Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. I've always really liked to plug this book if you're just getting into it. But Shunryu Suzuki, he started San Francisco Zen Center, and he also practices Soto Zen, which is what Heihei Dogen kind of brought from China. He brought Soto Zen to Japan. And yeah, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind is very cool. And I'll read a really quick thing from Beyond Thinking now. So the Shakyamuni Buddha said to the assembly, when you sit in the meditation posture, you realize samadhi in body and mind. And samadhi is the one-pointed state of stable meditation. And you give rise to an awesome virtue that people respect. Like the sun illuminating, refreshing the world. This sitting removes the obscurities from the mind and lightens the body so that exhaustion is set aside. Enlightenment becomes as natural as a dragon curled at a rest. A demon is frightened even by a picture of someone sitting in the meditation posture. How much more so by a living person who realizes the way is sitting motionless and at ease. I really like that quote a lot, and kind of paints an interesting picture of like the power, I think, of the sitting posture and kind of what it signals to the environment that you're in. It might signal something to other people, and yeah, maybe there might be an actual spirit or something, and witnessing you in your meditation posture, and there might be a harmony to it all. But I think that's what they were kind of implying there. But it's very cool stuff. And with that, I think, yeah, I'll kind of open it up to any questions or maybe anything about y'all's practice that maybe you want to share with the group. It could be about any kind of meditation practice or Buddhism or anything. And yeah, do y'all have any questions or stuff?
Is Zen like typically unguided, or are there all kinds of different approaches with it?
Yeah, I always thought that actually the only type of meditation they did was kind of like this unguided sitting meditation. But I've learned that there's a lot of different kinds of meditation that's happening within Soto Zen schools, and it's weird. There's kind of like this bridge that's happening between, and I think it's been going on for a while, of just, you know, generic Zen schools where they had a history of Rinzai stuff, and they're, you know, kind of bridging everything together, so it all kind of washes together. And yeah, there's a big emphasis on kind of reciting the Heart Sutra, which, yeah, you're nodding, so you've heard of it.
Or at least like, no, so now that I think about it, like years and years and years ago, I went to a Zen, I guess it was a Zen temple. I do more like Theravada practice and Vipassana practice, and it was a lot of, yeah, did it once, and like it was a lot of chanting,
yeah,
moving around. So yeah, I guess that's some other version.
Yeah, walking meditation is kind of another one, and I'm really very new to that. I've only done it once during like the half day sit that was here, and it's very frustrating for me actually, because you're walking very slowly, and it's almost like you're kind of you divide your foot up into like 5 quadrants, and you're like putting each quadrant down on the ground, and I don't know, you're integrated, which is pretty cool and present, and it's probably a good way of practicing just being present while you're moving through the world even. But yeah, within Zen, I think there's tons of stuff going on meditation wise, and yeah, I think I just really like the sitting stuff, and that's what I think we're supposed to do at this meeting.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Okay, what's up?
I'm having a tough time in my practice, which is fairly new, like finding a nice rhythm for my breath without thinking too hard about it. And then once I stop thinking about it, it starts to become kind of unregulated. And then that brings me back to it, and it gets me off track. I don't know if maybe that's just kind of the process of figuring it out. It's all very personal, or if there's at least some sort of recommendations for how to kind of get yourself into an easy rhythm of breathing that doesn't occupy all of your attention when you're trying to do the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, I have a similar experience with that. Like, I've tried to count to 10 sometimes, so I'll do maybe a breath in, and that's 1, and then a breath out, and then a breath in, and that's the second one. And once if I get to 10, just start over. And that's extremely difficult. But even so, I think if you maybe do just 3 cycles of that, it's still really, really beneficial. I mean, you're kind of calming the limbic system. I know Meredith in the back, she was saying some stuff about how it's the parasympathetic, sympathetic system that you're kind of regulating, or maybe kind of sending this kind of control signal to, and just letting your body know that everything's okay, But I think it's totally fine to like kind of find yourself into a normal breathing pattern and everything. But yeah, if you're able to focus on breath the whole time, like that's really impressive and probably a good practice overall too. But yeah, I think with guided meditations as well, you find that they kind of bring things back to the breath every in a rhythm and everything, and it's good. Does that help?
Yeah, no, I think I'm trying to focus on my breath, and I know the intention is kind of to just kind of let yourself ease into like the nothingness, and then I just try to feel my breath in and out, but I mean, it's difficult, for obvious reasons, so I think that's just a frustrating point.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I do box kind of things, or it's more of a square, but I use that to go to sleep sometimes, where I do like a 4 count breath in, and then hold it for 4, and then 4 out, and then hold it for 4. And then that's 1 cycle. And yeah, try and make it to 10 cycles. And usually by the 7th one, I'm sleeping. And I can do that during meditation as well. And it helps keep the mind, I think, a little bit busy. And sometimes it's necessary. But yeah, if you kind of find yourself in kind of a rested state afterwards, or maybe a more calmer state, I think it's fine. Questions from the internet.
Sorry, I hope I'm not taking it.
No, that's fine.
Or anything like that, but I was recently reading a book of like lectures given by the Dalai Lama. So I'm trying to learn like there's like Tibetan Buddhism, and now we're talking about Zen Buddhism, which comes from Japan. It seems, I'm just curious from your perspective, it seems at least that Tibetan Buddhism has more mysticism involved in it. I'm not really sure, but like, because I was telling the Dalai Lama before kind of getting into Buddhism is just kind of like the figurehead for Buddhism in some cases. But now it seems, as I'm getting deeper into it, that there's many separate branches. I was wondering if you could just expound on that a little bit.
Yeah, I actually don't know if Tibetan Buddhism is like a branch of Theravada Buddhism, but there's 3 main schools of Buddhism. It's like Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayana. Yeah.
That's that.
That is Tibetan. Okay, cool. Yeah, Theravada Buddhism, like she was mentioning, it has a lot of mysticism to it, and there's a lot of like layers and everything of different realms and such, and yeah, it's very confusing. And yeah, I don't know. Personally, I don't really see a whole lot of value in it, because like I think this meditation practice, for instance, is very practical. Whereas it's really hard for me personally to kind of like connect these like realm conversations with my own life and everything, and the things that kind of have that I've gravitated towards through this practice and everything. But they're out there, and the Dalai Lama is. It's really cool that there is a Dalai Lama, and I think it's interesting the way that the next Dalai Lama is kind of put into that position, because it's like there's a vision or something that he has of close to his death of like the characteristics of the next one, and then the Tibetans, they go find this person, and then this child is like given, it's usually a child, is given like all this power of like kind of being the next Dalai Lama, and they say a lot of cool stuff. And so I feel like there's some legitimacy to that position, just kind of from the things that this person is promoting. But yeah, it's as much as I know about it, to be honest. But yeah, does that kind of give you a little bit of insight into, I guess, the Dalai Lama?
Yeah, for sure. And then from like the perspective of like from the Zen Buddhism side, like is there like an emphasis on like cosmology, or is it more like philosophical, or what's?
Yeah, I mean, I think the emphasis that I've kind of felt with my experiences at like the San Francisco Zen Center is a lot about kind of integrating with the community, and creating like a really a safe space for kind of the practitioners, and kind of promoting a lot of the foundations that are kind of common within Buddhist practice. So like the Four Noble Truths, which leads into like the Eightfold Path. And then we actually kind of do a lot of stuff with the Six Paramitas here. And I've heard all of that stuff kind of talked about in different ways in the San Francisco Zen Center. And yeah, you can find all of that stuff kind of like within other kind of Buddhist practices and everything. And I visited Bangkok last year, and there's a big kind of, what I could tell, a big thing about karma and rebirth is emphasized, I think, a lot. Whereas like here in the US, I think there's not a whole lot of emphasis on rebirth. And karma, I think, has kind of taken on its own life and meaning. And it's a little bit interesting to kind of like witness the different things that cultures kind of emphasize within Buddhism. But yeah, you kind of see it merge with the culture and everything. Like I think in Thailand, like the kind of Buddhism that you see there is very Thai, and in Tibet, same thing. And India, where Buddhism came from, I haven't really been exposed to much of it, but I imagine it's very different from what Zen has become, and Zen is very Japanese. And yeah, we're in kind of a interesting phase in like America, where we have kind of witnessed to like a lot of different schools of Buddhism and access to it all, and it's really kind of cool because you can kind of dabble in everything and kind of see what works for whatever kind of practices you're interested in. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think we have some time to do another kind of meditation period for maybe about 12, 13 minutes. Does anybody have any kind of questions before we dive into that? Cool. My name's Cory, by the way. I don't think I said that earlier. right. Yeah, that's the end of our second meditation, and I think, I guess really quickly, does anybody have any maybe anything they want to maybe share about that last one before we close? All right, cool. Well, I did think of another type of meditation that Zen practitioners do, which is loving kindness. And we have, we do a loving kindness meditation here on Wednesdays, which Meredith is going to lead on Wednesday. So usually every Wednesday. And sometimes we have like guest speakers come in and take over, which they've done here on this one. So it's always really exciting to hear some outside perspectives and such. Yeah, I think before we do our kind of closing announcements from our host, we'll do a dedication of merit. So if you're comfortable, bring your hands to palms to heart center. So may any merit gained from this practice be transferred and a benefit to the world. And if some of that merit could be carved out for a temple friend Mark tonight, I think that would be really helpful. And yeah. Cool. So Meredith, if you want to come up.
Hey everybody, tonight before I do our regular announcements, I want to let you know that this Thursday, speaking of Tibetan Buddhism, we're starting an 8-week series. It'll be every Thursday from 7 to 8, starting this Thursday. And it will be 8 different types of meditation in the Vajrayana tradition of Tibetan Buddhism. Okay, regular announcements. So, hi, I'm Meredith, tonight's host. We opened the Dharmabumtemple 18 years ago to introduce Buddhist practice to those who show up. Those who lead are not nuns, monks, gurus, masters, or teachers, and are not looking for students. They're simply practitioners sharing their interpretation of the practice. Every night we have different classes led by different people from various Buddhist traditions. We have a recovery sangha that meets several times a week for anyone with addiction, and our food redistribution program is every Thursday at 4:30. We have classes and programs every day, and everything we offer here is always free. The full schedule is on our website and also posted in the entryway above the shoe rack. We have a lending library. If you see a book you like, feel free to borrow it and then just bring it back whenever you're done with it. If you could please straighten your seat or cushion before you head out, and if a few people could stay and close and latch the windows, that would be great. Thank you for being here. We wish you well, and we hope to see you again soon.
Thanks, everyone.